Chandler, could you share with the audience a little bit about, how you got to where you are today, and teaching those on how to acquire local businesses and what you do every single day being a business owner? Could you share with the audience a little bit about your story here?
Yeah, 100%. So, hey everyone, I'm Chandler Reed. I'm based here in Tampa. I'm a local business owner, as well as kind of a consultant for other people to help them go buy their own small businesses that are out there across the country. So, I would say I came into this completely backward, as most people do. Most people figure out about ETA, which is entrepreneurship through acquisition, instead of doing a startup, trying to find that product market fit. You can buy an existing business with it, and there's oftentimes some operational inefficiencies, some low-hanging fruit, if you will, that you can hop in, improve, and almost build a startup, skipping that kind of tough phase of the product market fit. So I say that because most people figure out about the opportunity, about the space, go out and actually go out on a proper search. So looking for businesses that aligns with their criteria, their lifestyle, their financial goals. I kind of stumbled into it. I was on Twitter one day and saw a tweet from my now business partner, Sam Rosati, basically to the effect of outlining the opportunity, highlighting it. He was looking for someone with a little bit more hustle than capital, which means the deal is a massive turnaround. So we got some pretty attractive seller financing on that to make it happen. Needed to know multifamily real estate, which I had been working in. That was my career up until that point of buying the business, and could either be in Tampa or is already in Tampa, because that was where the deal was based. And I kind of saw that tweet. Literally, it checked all my boxes. I thought it was written for me. And so I'm like, all right, well, I thought the only people that bought businesses were like private equity companies or Fortune 500 types. So this seems cool. I always wanted to do something entrepreneurial. Let's take a flyer on it. I guess long story short, 4 months later, I ended up bringing in one of my mentors and kind of a veteran industry in the multifamily space. And the three of us closed on this business together. And I stepped in as a day one operator, and I've been running that ever since. We closed in April of 2021. So just past that 3-year mark.
And could you share with the audience a little bit about the business you acquired?
Yes. So the business that I acquired, it looks a little bit different today, but at its core, we still got the same stuff going on. So the business that I bought was a lighting contractor and retrofitter that services the multifamily industry nationwide. So back in the day when LED lights were not, as nascent, or when LEDs were kind of a nascent technology. Obviously, there's a ton of lights at these apartment complexes. This company would go on site, do a turnkey installation, so procure all the materials, complete the installation, apply for any rebates that a local municipality or utility company would offer for doing an energy efficiency project like this, and basically wipe their hands, go on to the next one. So it was twofold for the owner, kind of the value proposition. Number one, you could achieve some pretty significant energy savings, thus, reducing your electricity bill by a ton. And then as well, the lights are a lot brighter, they last longer. So it was just, overall a really good fit. So I kind of saw this as an opportunity to get the lighting business. So it was a turnaround. So get the lighting business back to its former glory, as well as with my time working on the Water Street Tampa project. I kind of saw where the puck was heading as far as like green energy, ESG, LEED certifications, all that great stuff. So I'm like, all right, let's get the lighting business back to where it was. And then all of our existing clients are going to be buying EV charging stations. They're going to be buying low flow plumbing fixtures. They're going to be buying smart thermostats. They're going to be buying solar. Let's figure out how to, we already have the existing client channels. Let's figure out how to sell those products to them. And today, so we're kind of like we offer a full suite of green energy projects, including those ones I just named, in addition to the lighting.
Love it, bro. One of my favorite little lines from playing sports back in the day: "Look good, feel good, play good."
Yeah,
If the lights make everything look better, and you feel good about being better for the environment, you're gonna ultimately play better. So
exactly.
I like your style, and as you mentioned, when the ETA, right, you're able to have that entrepreneurship through acquisition. When you guys, the three of you all first kind of step your foots in the four walls, if you will, can you think about some, kind of maybe some advice you might share with yourself if you could go back, at that day one back in April, of 2021, what you might say with yourself? And then my follow-up question to that is, can you think of like some of the products or services that you needed to buy, to kind of maybe get a different vendor, et cetera? And if you can think of any anecdotes of, working with those folks of, why you might have chose one product versus another, and how a salesperson could
Sure.
have done it. So two-part question: what advice would you kind of give to yourself back in April 21? And then what were some of those important, transactions that you needed to make as you refresh the business?
Yeah, 100%. So I would say first and foremost, to answer the first part of the question, everyone has a preconceived notion of what it's going to look like on the other side. You go out through your search and then day one, like, hey, I'm a business owner. And you have this preconceived notion in your mind on how it's going to go. You probably think it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. I would say throw that all out the window. Get ready and be prepared to just roll with the punches. Every day is going to look different. There's going to be fire drills. There's going to be a lot of stuff. Hopefully during your search, if you run a thorough due diligence process, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what the business looks, smells, feels like, etc. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of ambiguity in these small businesses, and you really don't know what you don't know until you're in the driver's seat. So I would say if I would have had that knowing, that kind of mindset going in, I probably would have gotten less upset about some things and like, oh, this isn't going according to plan at all. It's like, yeah, no duh. Like, that's entrepreneurship for you. That's what we get in the game for. You got to be kind of got to have a resilient mindset and just know, like, yes, this is what you're signing up for. Get ready to roll with the punches. But if you stick through it, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and, you ultimately end up, more financially successful and also a better person, in my opinion, as well. So.
Love that, bro. If you're scared, get a dog, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe not get as upset. I think that's such great advice.
Yeah.
What were some of the important, kind of tools or vendors and such that you might need to look for new, or they were missing, and how did you kind of decide one or the other, and maybe the salesperson had an impact on that? I'm curious if any anecdotes come to mind.
Yeah, 100%. So I would say the biggest thing for that is obviously we had this vision so that's one of the cool things about ETA, again, going back to it, is like you're buying, existing vendors, existing platform. Obviously there might be some room for improvement there, but for us, we were buying this existing business with the kind of long-term goals of adding on those extra projects that I was talking through. And, candidly, we didn't really know what to do. It's funny, like, we always had this on our whiteboard, but it wasn't until one of our existing clients on the lighting side came to me and said, hey, Chandler, can you guys do EV charging station installs? And I just said yes. And I went back to the team. I'm like, hey, y'all, we have 3 weeks to figure out how to put a bid together. So let's do some research. So I'll stick on EV charging stations. So obviously there's a whole slew of some other brands out there, but we were looking really for, how can we provide our clients with the most value? And that's the kind of product that we want to go out and search for. We ultimately ended up on a product called SemiConnect, which was recently acquired by Blink. So we'll just use Blink for the time being. But what we really liked about Blink and what their salespeople communicated for me was, so I would say the kind of, the largest market share, the 10,000-pound gorilla in the room, is a brand called ChargePoint. And so they're everywhere. Like, if you know anything about EVs, you probably know about ChargePoint. But what we really liked about SemiConnect was that it had all the same bells, whistles, functionality as ChargePoint, but with a little bit more robust end user customer support on the back end. And as well, the kind of icing on the cake was it was basically a fraction of the price. So as I'm sitting there and as I'm a business owner trying to sell my clients and provide as much value as their clients as possible, I didn't really feel comfortable going with this. We could have made probably more money, right, if we're charging them for a higher price station. Obviously, we'd make more money installing that. But at the end of the day, we're trying to do right by our clients and provide them as much value as possible. And I also have the benefit of being on the other side of the fence, right? Like, I was a multifamily investment asset manager back in the day. So I always view all of our projects, specifically these new ones that we had to tack on, through the lens of what would I do if I put my owner hat on? What kind of station would I want? And what kind of value would I be looking to bring, to my shareholders? And that's how we arrived at the Blink charging stations.
Makes total sense. You certainly know how to put yourself in, all these shoes here. It's funny how it all lined up. Like you said, that tweet was meant for you, and here you are. Between the multifamily and on the SMB side. Can you think of as you've continued to operate the business, and continue to build such a big following, and what you guys are doing to help others, and empowering them, and kind of the lessons learned on how to do this ETA the right way. When you think about a salesperson listening right now, right? That's like, hey, I feel like I have a better, mousetrap for X, Y, and Z that I think I could help, somebody like Chandler. What have you seen works in approaching you to get your attention? What doesn't? And what general advice would you share with somebody that's looking to, serve you with their good or their service?
Yeah, 100%. So I would say always, first and foremost, think of it as a long-term horizon. Don't think about anyone that you're approaching as just a single one-time transaction and you're just looking to make money from them immediately, all right, see you later, thanks, move on to the next one. You should approach everyone because there's a multitude of things, right? So obviously depends on the service that you sell, but oftentimes, whether it's recurring or reoccurring, you want to develop relationships that last a long time, keep that customer coming back. And secondly, you want that person to be kind of your champion and go spread the word to the other colleagues out there. So if you're coming in there just with kind of rent-seeking behavior, I would say, rather than trying to build a long-term relationship with these people, that's not only going to burn you for getting repeat business from that same client, but also you're eliminating them from spreading the good words for you, kind of free marketing, word-of-mouth marketing. And I would say for a salesperson, the way that I can accomplish that is, number one, always trying to provide and lead with value. So maybe it is we're engaging a new client and they have some questions on some EV charging stations, what is out there. So instead of just trying to force this one product down their throat, you could say, hey, here's the kind of world, here's why this one is bad, here's why this one works, here's why we would recommend this one, and really helping them, putting yourself in their shoes, helping them come to the same decisions that as a salesperson. But there's obviously an education piece to any new client that you might be bringing on. So really just trying to do right by them, thinking about the long term, and trying to lead up front with as much value as possible, knowing that, hey, if you do right by your client, they're going to do right by you, and hopefully it's going to be a long-term relationship from there.
Makes sense. Yeah. And just getting back from a trade show, I ran into a guy that I've been trying to sell for like 6 years. And he's like, guess what, Ty? I finally signed up with them, and I'm super happy. And I'm like, yes, yeah,
Exactly.
you're 100% right. And I'm curious, because I think you would, I'm sure you probably have a similar viewpoint where a lot of people, will have that lip service where they like act like they care about the long-term horizon, but they
Yes.
don't really, what's your kind of like BS radar? What are some signals that somebody cares versus they don't?
Yeah, I mean, that is a great point. I would say number one, like trying to get to know you, like maybe probably outside of business. Like, hey, you got a
Mm,
family, you got any kids, where you live at, who are your sports teams, just really trying to, build some rapport and not just be super salesy and greasy, I guess, if you will. You know, especially, I mean, it obviously depends on the product that you're selling, but B2B, it's a heavy relationship driven business. So you not only need to be the kind of purveyor or seller of the right product for the right person, but also that person that they want to do business with, that they want to give business to, and being really their right hand person and knowing that they can trust you and that you're looking out for them. And I would say acting with integrity as well, and
mm.
making sure that you're always trying to do right, not only for your clients, but all their stakeholders, and making sure that you're really, you know, just being a good person. I guess it really just boils down to that.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think the point on the personal is such a good signal. That they're not just in it to check the box. They're in it to actually get to know you as a human being. And I'm curious. When as you continue to scale both your business and helping others, acquire businesses. And you pull up your inbox, right? Because you got a million spinning plates going on, right? And Chandler's looking through his email, right? Can you think of like the last time somebody like cold emailed you and you gave them the time of day? Is there an example that comes to mind?
Yeah, so going back to just leading with value, the worst cold emails that I get are number one, like super long. Like I don't have the time. Once I see like a big wall of text, I'm just like, all right, Al, see ya. The best cold email I've gotten, and one that I actually signed up with to help me do some, cold email and outbound lead gen myself, was sent me a super thoughtful article on like a new regulation that was happening
Mm,
within the EV space and how that could help us provide value to our clients. And it was a lead gen agency, and they went out of their way to do some research on us, and something that leading with value always versus hey, we can do XYZ for you, let's hop on a sales call tonight or whatever. It's like that's just a big turn off. So again, always just leading with value and making sure that, hey, you're trying to start this relationship off on the right foot and thinking long term versus trying to just quickly extract money from someone.
such a good example. Do you remember by any chance like was there something in the subject line? Like how'd they kind of get your attention in the first place, or do you pretty much check
Yeah.
every email?
No, I think the subject line was like, you might find this interesting, Chandler, or something like that.
Got
I'm
it.
like, oh,
Yep.
okay. All right. That
Mhm.
immediately, it's just sent a light bulb off in my head. Like, okay, it's not just like, some long drawn out one where the subject line is going off the page and you see the dot, dot, dot at the end. I'm like, okay, whatever. If this is, or just some blanketed templated one, it's like, you might find this interesting. Like, all right, maybe I will. Let's check it out.
I like it. Yep, leading with value on that long-term horizon. And I'm curious, could you share with the audience a little bit about, how your experience, in acquiring the business and, ultimately working with Sam, share a little bit more about what you guys do today, and then I have a couple questions, in terms of some best practices that I think the audience would be curious about.
Yeah, 100%. So Sam had been running these in-person boot camps to teach people, anyone that, is willing and able and wants to sign up to go out and actually how to go search and then diligence and then close on their own small business. So that's what I'm really doing today. So my goal with Get Green NOI, the business I ended up acquiring, this wasn't going to be like my retirement horse, right? I didn't know what I didn't know before going into it. So no more project-based construction turnarounds for me. I like to think of it now kind of like my silver or like my North Star investment metric now is not our IRR or MOIC or anything like that, but it's a return on headache. It's like, all right,
Mm,
how much money am I making compared to how much brain damage am I taking on? And I'll tell you right now, the construction industry is a lot of brain damage for a decent money, but there's better alternatives that I've thought of out there. So my main goal is to get, obviously, as a turnaround, get it back up into working shape, and then ultimately replace myself in the day-to-day operations, still be involved in kind of lead and guide, but more so working on the business than working in the business. And obviously, working with Sam over the few years, he was giving me a lot of pointers on how to run this business. And then finally, I recognized that what he was building with his own business buying boot camps was incredible. It was really anti-guru of all the other business buying people that you see out there. I felt good about what he was offering. He obviously, changed my life for the better. He helped me with everything with my deal. And I kind of recognized I got lucky and I found my deal off Twitter of all places. So it was really a good opportunity for me to help him kind of grow and expand on the great work that he's already done and also try to pay it forward to the community. But like I said, I recognize I got lucky and not everyone's going to be able to find an opportunity like I did so luckily. And I want to do everything I can to help pay it forward and really see this community grow because it's pretty much it's in its early innings right now. And I think the opportunity is only getting bigger.
I agree. So many small businesses out there, that may not have kind of a plan for the future, as the generation, moves on to the next generation here. And I think, what's the easiest thing to sell, right? Something you believe in, and what better example than something that changed your life for the better. And so you're not just a guru telling
Yeah.
people, how to make money. You're doing it yourself, And I'm curious, when, if I'm a small business out there, right, and I've given my business, my blood, sweat, and tears for 40 years, right? I'm also, I'm pulling up my inbox, looking at whatever fires I have to put out, right? Like we
Yep.
talked about earlier, and not letting it, kind of bring me down, but understanding that that's the norm. What have you guys learned in terms of, how to get in the, how to get that person to become even open to entertaining, the idea of selling their business? It seems like such a big trust factor. I'm just curious what advice you might share with the audience in terms of, what you guys might suggest in terms of how to build that trust, with maybe not having necessarily an existing relationship there.
Yeah, 100%. So I would say first and foremost, like so there are business brokers out there, right? So I would
Yep.
say start developing and building relationships with them. Visualize like, hey, what are you looking for? Why are you the right person to run a business that you're looking for? And just, take them out to lunch, grab them coffee, just keep building that relationship with them. And then eventually the kind of the dirty secret with business brokers is they have, there's the listing websites, there's all this stuff out there. But they are going to have a short list of people that they go bring their deals to before to see kind of because with that short list, it's like people they trust, people they know that can close. And brokers obviously only get paid when the deal closes, so they're not going to go through the brain damage of going and listing it, getting all these NDA signed, having all these calls, unless they have, or unless they don't need to. So I would say developing relationships with business brokers. But as far as seller goes, you definitely need to meet them where they're at. The worst thing you could do is like, hey, I want to go buy an HVAC business, or hey, I want to go buy a plumbing business, and somehow connect with the seller and go meet with them, and then show up, with your Patagonia deal vest and deal sleds on, and be white collar land. Never show up to an HVAC warehouse in a Patagonia vest. Get your blue jeans, get a nice golf polo, tuck it in. If you're, a lady, same thing. But yeah,
Love it.
really be down to earth and not just you're not a private equity firm, right? Like you're supposed to be, and the cool thing about these small businesses is it's much more than a financial transaction. It's actually a legacy transfer. So to your point,
Mm,
the person that's been building this business for 4 years, this is their pride, sweat and tears that they put into it. It's their baby. They want to make sure that it's going into the right hands, not only for their legacy or their, in the community, but also for their existing employees. They want to make sure that, it's being passed on to the right person to carry on that legacy. So really just meeting them where they're at. Don't try to be, a mini private equity firm. Just try to be a normal person that's interested in buying their business, and really just meet them where they're at and continue to build that relationship. And when the time comes, I promise you, you're going to be on that short list. So
Fire, dude. That was fire. And when you think about, somebody listening to this, what's the difference between a good and a great business broker?
yeah, I would say, well, I would say just the numbers of them. I would say bad and good, and then a few of them are great. I would say the most of them are bad. um, the good business brokers recognize that, like, there's two parties involved,
Mm,
and they're trying to do right, and they know how to kind of like massage both sides of the transaction, because again, their whole goal is, they don't get paid unless the deal closes, right? So
mm.
a good business broker is really going to put both, obviously they're representing the seller, but they're going to put, keep both parties' interests in mind and make sure that, hey, everyone's walking away from this with a win-win transaction.
Anything else that comes to mind in terms of what you would want to share, with the audience, and lessons learned of how to serve local businesses, or how to better communicate, and we can shift into some rapid fire questions, man. This has been
Yeah,
fantastic.
100%. So I would just say overall, just, business, like, especially, depending on the market that you're in, or now with the kind of how everyone's online, like, word travels fast, people in industries know each other. So just your reputation at the end of the day is all that you have. So just try to be a good person, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're a potential business owner. Like, I promise you, if you burn someone, life will find a way of getting that out into some other people that you might want to be doing business with down the road. So just be a good person in anything that you can do in business, and I promise you it'll come back in spades.
Love it, man. I think that's such great advice, and meeting them where they're at. I'm still picturing the Patagonia fit, like you're at, the Amex lounge at the airport or whatever, so that makes total sense. And for everybody listening, make sure to check out Chandler on Twitter. He's got some awesome threads on, what really is passive ownership, and, kind of the return on the headache, I think, is very much
Yeah,
represented there. So make sure to check him out. Chandler Reed SMB, at Chandler Reed SMB, and we'll put everything in the show notes. So Chandler, I appreciate you meeting me where I'm at, man, and always going out of your way to connect. And I'm excited to get to know you better. So thank you for making time for today's podcast, and excited for the audience to be able to connect with you and get some value, and we all figure this out together as we lift the ship here.
100%. And hey, Tyler, you make it easy for me. Number one, just accommodating me, and number two, being an awesome guy and someone I want to hang out with and look forward to, continuing our relationship. And you're up to a lot of cool stuff, and I got a lot of respect for you. And go plant Panthers.
Let's
And
go, baby.
I'm looking forward to keeping hanging out with you, dude, and following along your success as well.